Good morning, YouTube. This is my new 2020 Polaris Ranger Crew 1000 Premium Edition with the cold weather package. It is November 9th, 2020, and I want to do a quick walk around of this vehicle and point out a couple things that I'm not overly happy with on this, and suggest you take a look at when you go to the dealer to take yours home. With the current pandemic going on, they're kind of creating this need to move on these things fast because they basically, I don't know, they're very hard to get. Or at least that's what every dealer says. So you just feel lucky to get one. It's great marketing on their part, I guess. But kind of sucks when you're rushing and you can't drive the thing before you buy it. So overall, the look of the vehicle I think is very cool, but I guess I'm kind of like to pay more attention to detail. I'm not overly happy with some of the things they just kind of let slide on this. I think the quality coming out of the factory sucks personally. So let me just go through a couple things as I'm thinking about it here. So yeah, and these are minor, but remember, you're paying top dollar for this thing. So here's this seam, perfect seam right there. Let's go to the other side. Look at it, it's raised up. And there's no pushing that down. That bolt is what holds that in place. If you take that bolt out, someone at the factory drilled a hole with that raised, and that's where that's gonna stay. That's definitely not up to their quality. Sticker guy must have been hungover that morning, or maybe it was a Friday, maybe it was a Monday morning, I don't know. It's the little things. You flip open the bed, take a look at this clutch breather screen here. Fortunately I did, because when I got it home from the dealer, I opened up the bed and I looked and I found this thing was at a 45-degree angle, so it was basically wide open. I had to take this off, put it in a vise, bend this at a 90-degree angle so it actually fits against this pipe. When I got home, I took a walk around. I noticed that this piece of molding or trim, excuse me, this piece up top was actually sticking out about 3/4 of an inch from this piece. And what it is, there's a little plastic fitting that should go into a hole on this to line them up and make them go flush. Well, whoever at the factory didn't feel it needed to go that way, so it was sticking out, so it was kind of basically coming out at an angle. You could look right up in there and see what was inside. So I had to take this off and put that back on. When I did that, I looked, this is either an air intake or your clutch breather, one of the two. This pipe, you can see these tabs, there's 4 of them that go all the way around. This pipe was maybe sticking out of that about an inch. I had to literally put my thing on, pull them all out to get them seated in there so they are where they are. It's not because I took that side off, because I went to this side. Same exact thing. Again, it's either, I think that's your clutch breather, and the other side your air intake. Same thing, had to pull that pipe out to get it all seated. Let's go around. Every seat belt was mounted down at the bottom. There's just a bolt that holds them on. It was mounted so when you put it across your lap, it would twist like this. Every one, all 6. I did each one, put them back, so now when you're sitting in there, they're flat on your lap. The glove box should be not waterproof, I get it, it's a plastic thing, but it should at least seal. It has a nice seal in there, I'm sure you can see it. But you close it, it doesn't close. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's just the way it goes. Now if you really pull it forward and press down and hold it down and turn it, it seems to give a little bit better seal, but I can't demonstrate that for you. But if it was dark, I could put a flashlight and some light blasting out of the thing. So it's basically just kind of, I wouldn't store any documents in there. So I start walking around it again because I keep getting frustrated. I keep finding more and more issues with it. I notice that this piece of trim is just flopping around. Well, look inside, right around this corner here, it's missing a push pin. One of these Polaris push pins. Go to the other side, same exact thing. Missing a push pin. Must have just been Monday morning at the factory. Didn't feel like putting it in there. Take it for a ride down the road. It's kind of vibrating underneath. I think, maybe I should get under and see what's doing that. Well, you see a long skid plate under this. It's a 2-part skid plate. There's a lot of holes in there. I start thinking to myself, well, Polaris isn't going to waste money on a metal bracket if there wasn't a screw that's supposed to go in there. So sure enough, it's missing 6 screws to hold those 2 skid plates together. That's a big deal because this is a long vehicle and you get high centered often if you're on the trails. And if you back up, you're going to grab this, you're going to rip it off. The dealer's going to say it's wear and tear and they're not going to honor it. I will say, I initially thought it was my dealer's responsibility, but I called them up and I kind of told them the service department needs to get their stuff together. They assured me that when they get these, all they do is they put the roll cage on, they bolt the tires on to the fluids, and they go out the door, basically. They don't touch the skid plates. They wouldn't have touched the trim on the sides. So this is coming out of the factory like this. So I suggest, if you guys can, slow things down a little bit. Get in there, play with stuff, figure it out, because you get this home, and it's kind of disappointing. This is not the first Polaris vehicle I've owned. I replaced a 400 Ranger with this vehicle. I have 2 Polaris Outlaw 50s in the garage. My wife has a 2019 450 with power steering. I have a 2012 Sportsman 500, and I've owned probably 6 more, and they've all been top-notch quality. This one has the most, I don't know, I guess the least attention to detail out of any of them. It just doesn't, it's just not wowing me. And yeah, I mean, anybody watching this might say, well, this guy's kind of nitpicky, but let me remind you, this has the cold weather package on it. This was an $18,500 vehicle. I'm not saying that to say, hey, you know, look at me, I have an expensive vehicle. I'm thinking if you drove a car home from the lot that you just paid this kind of money for, it would be unacceptable. So hopefully this helps anybody that's going to bring one of these home. Just take a look at it. Don't rush. Crawl under it. Look, because I didn't notice any of this stuff at the dealership. I was just happy I found one. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll try to respond to them. I should add that my dealer was great. I called them up, and I told them about the push pins. Overnight, they sent me some of the push pins, and they do have the skid plate bolts on order. And the salesperson actually said, hey, I'm going to go out and check an XP crew I have on site. I'll check the skid plate just to make sure I get you the right stuff. And he said, hey, just so you know, there's only 2 out of 6 bolts on that XP also. All right, YouTube, take it easy. Goodbye.